Hi there to my Young Women's Leadership Group and the Girls Inc. staff. I'm Heather. Today we're going to talk about the concept that I like to call 2 ears and 1 mouth. It's about listening. And the whole concept behind it is that listening should be about twice as important as speaking. And I have a little story for you. This one hits close to home for me. But before we get to the story, I like to define the concept, which today is listening. So listening means to hear something with thoughtful attention. And it suggests, as I said, that we should listen twice as much as we speak. And why is this important? Because I think for 3 main reasons. By listening, we have the opportunity to learn from others, kind of like expand our knowledge base, and also make sure that we're in that growth mindset, willing to learn from other perspectives. Understanding. A lot of times people may say something and we're listening, but we're not quite understanding. So it's good to let people finish what they're saying whenever possible. I know that's like really tough to do sometimes, but listening to learn, understand, and last but not least, the less you talk, the more I think people will listen when you do talk. And I know that sounds the opposite of what it would be, but I've noticed for myself when a quiet person speaks up that generally other people stop to listen to what they have to say. Abraham Lincoln is a great example. I love this man. He's one of my favorite people through all of history. And I will talk about him in a little bit too. But let's talk about the quake, the inner shift. So the survival brain versus the thriving brain. So we are, as humans, made to react in a way where we're controlling the situation. We're giving orders to others so that they can kind of implement our ideas in the most effective way. That's our nature and what we kind of want to do. That is not always the healthiest thing to do when it comes to being a leader. I think that people will react a lot better to you, respond better to you as a leader when you're listening to their ideas and trying to implement them, or at least working off of those ideas. Even if it's a ridiculous idea, you can usually find something to pick out of the idea and say, what I love about that idea is this, and then you can put your own twist on it, bring it back to reality if it's a little out there. That does sometimes happen. So that's the challenge for today, is just going from needing to have control to listening to the ideas of other people and seeing how we can maybe implement those. And I think if you can kind of master that skill, you'll be a lot more effective as a leader. So my story here is that in 2020, right before COVID was coming out, I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer. So that meant that I had to have my thyroid out. I waited a few months to have that done because surgeries were kind of put on the back burner. I wasn't like far advanced with the cancer, so they just kind of like said, oh, we'll wait a few months when the hospitals open back up for surgeries and all that. We'll get you in. So it was June. It's been 4 years now. So June of 2020, I had that done. I woke up from surgery. I knew something was wrong. I knew something was wrong. So 3 months later, not being able to speak, it was awful. I got placed on steroids. I got placed on speech therapy. Very kind of grueling schedule with speech therapy that didn't go anywhere. For 3 months, I couldn't speak. I was having all kinds of other issues stemming from the surgical error. But what I learned during that time was priceless. I learned that I don't need to speak. I don't need to. And it was a challenge. I had 3 little kids. My kids at the time were 3, 5, and 7. Yeah. And communicating with them, a safety issue or something like that, it was awful. But we came up with our own little ways of communicating. It was when mom claps 3 times, clap really loud. They would all come right to me, get in my face, and I would just whisper whatever I needed to tell them. We had a couple other little tricks that we managed to kind of pull in so that we could find our own little way of communicating. I used the note section on my phone a lot, on my mobile phone, if I was going out and at like a party for a sibling or something like that. I learned to just write a note in my phone, or if there was something I needed to say, I would like whisper. I could whisper, but I couldn't like project my voice whatsoever. Sometimes I like think of something funny that I wanted to say, so I'd whisper it to a friend and they would repeat it, or, you know, we came up with little things like that. But for 3 months, I couldn't speak. I could still communicate in certain ways. I just learned that listening is so valuable. I learned so much. And honestly, since I had that 3 months with no voice, my life hasn't been the same. I appreciate more now than ever that I have the ability to speak. I met a great ear, nose, and throat specialist, and he did a surgery on me to get my voice back temporarily. So as long as it's here, I'll enjoy it. And I'm cancer free. So there you go. That's my story. And it was pretty crazy to not be able to talk for over 3 months. But here I am making a video for you. So we're going to talk about a little bit of material. I get the 2 ears, 1 mouth listening concept from Zeno, who is a Stoic philosopher. He founded this school, a Stoic school of philosophy, long time ago. A lot of these concepts are still very valuable today, so I do kind of go back throughout history and pull some quotes out of, the Stoic philosophers. They're probably my favorite, but people in history as well, like Abraham Lincoln. We're going to look at a little bit about him. But Zeno, who founded the Stoic school of philosophy, says, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we can listen more and talk less." He also has this quote that I love. It says, "Better to trip with the feet than with the tongue." Why is that? Maybe because wounds on our body heal quicker than wounds that we cause with our mouths. Something to think about. Abraham Lincoln, one of my favorite all-time people to have ever walked the earth, a leader that listened and was as humble as they come. I'm reading my notes once again, which is helpful for me because I can't memorize all this. So our country's better because of him, obviously. I just love Abraham Lincoln. So I do have a link in here for you, but in the Leadership Now website, there's a great article on President Lincoln. It's titled "Lincoln's Lessons, Listen to and Value Others." It starts off, "Lincoln led by listening. A leader must not only have the skill to share their ideas, but to cultivate the ideas of others. This often includes the quality of empathy. He took the time to cultivate personal relationships with his subordinates so he could learn from them. He showed them respect even when their opinions differed, and he made it clear that he valued their opinions." So I think that's pretty cool. So how does listening affect leadership? So imagine you've been training for a sports event and you have the opportunity to hire a personal coach to work with you one-on-one in the final months leading up to the event. You decide to ask the candidates to give you a sample of their training methods. After experiencing the options, you notice that some of the coaches listened to your needs and past injury concerns, while 1 or 2 others didn't hear what you were saying. They were only concerned with their own style and agenda. How might a leader or coach's ability to listen affect your decision on who you would like to work with? So that's just kind of taking the whole listening into context of you having the option to choose someone as your leader, whether it be a coach or a teacher or a boss. Who would you rather work for? So you can think about that and discuss that if you'd like. Some of the challenges that I'm going to give you, there are 6 total on this, the full paper printout. If you want it, let me know. Once again, I can send it over to you. But for today, we're going to focus on these 3. So imagine that you completely lose your ability to speak for a whole week. Think about what challenges you would face and what you might learn. And number 2 is stay away from gossip for the whole day. Was this a challenge for you? And how did you excuse yourself? Sometimes that's the hard part. It can be easy to ignore or not participate in, but then to excuse yourself is a little bit more tricky. So you might want to come up with a few different ways that you could excuse yourself from that situation. It's okay to be direct and say, I don't have an opinion on this. I'm going to do something else now. That's fine. That's being bold and smart and strong all at once. So the last one here is create a colorful illustration of what listening looks like to you. So just think about listening. It could be like a picture of yourself with your ears 5 times as big as they normally would be and a big smile on your face because you're listening to like music and people talking and children playing, and you're listening to the sounds of nature. However you want to illustrate that, I just thought it would be fun to have a creative challenge in there. And of course, like with every other concept we discuss and what you're thinking back on throughout the day, at the end of the day, it's always a good idea to end with your journal and writing at least 3 things that you're grateful for. That puts you in a good mindset before you go to bed at night. So good luck with everything, and I hope it goes well for you today. Bye.